friends. This is our Stuck at Home. And yes, we are here at the office, still stuck. Things are not opening up as quickly as we'd like. That's just the way it is these days. And we have to adjust to this, as we've said in the past. We've been talking about things that we just simply don't want to hear in the same way that we once heard them. Let me give you a good one. Phase. Phase. So sick of phases. Now, I don't want to hear phase again unless it's something I have to talk about when my grandkids become teenagers. You know, phases. We've all experienced that. No fun. But I'd rather talk about it then than hear about it now. Like to get rid of all the phases and just get on with our love and service to Christ, which, by the way, we can continue to do. I want to talk to you today about, it's an acronym. I was reading this and I can't remember where I found it, but I wrote it down. It meant a lot to me. That we can look at fear in two ways. The first is face everything and run, which I think that oftentimes this is what our natural instincts are to do. And secondly, we can look at everything and say, face everything and rise. This is what I believe as Christians we should do. We're told to take our stand after we've taken up everything that God offers us in Ephesians 6:10 through 18. And we, finalize that with prayer. But we have many provisions that are entrusted to us by God: a breastplate of righteousness, a belt of truth, our loins that are girded with that truth, our feet shod with the preparation for the gospel, the helmet of salvation. All of these incredible provisions that God has given to us, the sword of the Spirit, which is the spoken word of God. All of these provisions, and we're told to take our stand. We're also told in James chapter 4 and verse 6 and 7 that if we do take our stand, the devil will flee. He can't handle it when people humble themselves under the mighty hand of God. It does trouble him to see people that truly trust in their Lord. Now, fear is an automatic instinct for all of us. And we live in a day and time where I don't know whether it's meant to be presented in such a way. I'm not sure. But we have this incredible thought that's out there. And without being said, it's almost like an unwritten, an unspoken truth that's being communicated through the media at times. You get the sense that everyone that catches this virus is going to die. And if not, they're going to be the means by which somebody else dies. Now, we could live our whole life in fear. We could face it and run. Just flee to our own safety. Now, let me just state, as I have in the past, that I believe it's important for all of us to be respectful of what our government has asked us to do, to care and show that we care for the lives of others by wearing a mask, because I think you know how I feel about that. But let's understand that we're showing love and compassion and care for another. Perhaps they don't understand all the various ramifications. That's not for you or I to decide, but let's show that we do care and we are respectful. We can do that. We can honor the distancing guidelines and many other things. We can worship as they allow us to worship. God's Spirit will still be in the midst. God will be faithful. But what we don't have to do is quiver. I love what the Word of God says in Psalm 58 and verse 4. I will not fear what mere man can do to me. This is a man-made virus, or it is, let's just put it this way, it's been passed on as a result of whatever happened in China. We don't know. I'm sure it was accidental. I don't think anybody in their right mind would want to start something such as this, to have the profound impact that it's had on the world's economy and people's lives. But I know this, that if we live in the perfect love of God, It casts out our fear of what this world typically would be afraid of. I'm not saying that we're brash, that we're indifferent. I hope that I've explained that. But that we are simply not afraid. We understand that our God trusts us and encourages us to just simply trust him. So when Jesus sent out his disciples in Matthew chapter 10, I believe it starts in verse 28, he tells them not to be afraid of what a man can do to the body, but I want you to fear me, respect the one who not only can destroy the body but the soul. And he goes on to say, look, I have counted, your God has counted the very hairs on your head. And he knows if a sparrow falls to the ground. He said, you're worth much more than that to him. So trust him. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Our God will be with us. In Psalm chapter 42 and verse 5 and 6 or 11, David speaks to his own inner self and says, why are you cast down? Why are you in fear? Hope in God. Now, one thing I do know about this world is that it is sucking all the hope out of the hearts and lives of people. For whatever reason, it just seems to focus on the negative, never on the positive, and to suck all the hope right out of the hearts of people. David says, hope in God, because he will be our salvation, and we will revel in his presence. It says that in verse 5, verse 11, and then again in Psalm 43 and verse 5 there. We will rejoice in his presence. I don't know what the future holds for you or for me. Many of us are in that age group. And whatever happens, we're going to have to do what we've always done. Trust God and serve him in whatever way he allows us. I'm asking you today to hope in God. Therefore, we can have vision and purpose, and our prayers can be directed towards God, not for our own safety and care, because he cares for us and provides for us before we even ask in Matthew 6:8, but for others as they should be. I hope you have a good day. God bless you.